Your goals, they aren't random thoughts or fleeting desires. No, they're something so much more profound. They are whispers. Whispers from your highest self, gently nudging you toward your purpose. Think about that for a moment. Not shouts, not commands, whispers. Why? Because the truest guidance doesn't need to yell. It waits for you to quiet the noise of the world, to stop and listen. Right now, as you hear this, those whispers are trying to speak to you. Are you listening? Let me ask you, when was the last time you truly stopped and paid attention to the quiet stirrings within you? Those little nudges, those moments of what if that sparks something deep in your chest. They're not accidents. They're your soul trying to get your attention. But here's the kicker we're often too distracted to notice. We drown them out with doubt, with excuses, with busyness. And yet they persist. They wait. They wait for you to remember who you really are. Here's the truth, most people miss your goals aren't just about achieving something. They're about becoming someone. The real magic of a goal is who you have to grow into to make it real. And that growth, that's the entire point. It's never just about the thing, it's about the transformation. It's about stepping into a version of yourself that you can't even fully see yet, but you feel is waiting for you. Think about it. That whisper inside you, the one saying, start the business or write the book or take the trip, isn't just asking you to do something, it's asking you to rise, to step up, to claim a bigger, bolder version of yourself. The version that already exists in potential. The version that's waiting for you to say, yes, I'm ready. But let's get real for a moment, because this is where most of us get stuck. We hear the whisper, we feel the pull, but then, what happens? Fear shows up. Doubt creeps in. What if I fail? What if I'm not good enough? What if it's too late? Those questions, they're like fog on the path, making it hard to see the way forward. But let me tell you something. Fear isn't the enemy. Doubt isn't the problem. The problem is believing them. Because here's the secret: fear and doubt are just indicators that you're stepping into something bigger. They're not signs to stop, they're signs you're on the right path. Now, I know what you might be thinking, okay, but how do I actually move forward? How do I turn these whispers into reality? Let's break it down, because this isn't about some grand leap into the unknown, it's about small, steady steps. Step one, clarity. You can't hit a target you can't see. So take some time, real focused time, to listen to those whispers. Write them down, don't judge them, don't filter them, just get them out of your head and onto paper. What do you really want? Not what you think you should want, not what others expect you to want, but what makes your heart light up. That's the starting point. And here's a little exercise for you. Close your eyes and imagine it's 5 years from now. You've done it. You've achieved that thing that's been calling you. How does it feel? What does your life look like? Who are you in that moment? Let that vision fuel you. Let it remind you why this matters. Step two, commitment. And I don't mean the kind of half-hearted commitment we make when we're feeling motivated for a day or two. I mean real commitment, the kind that says, I'm in this no matter what. Because let's be honest, there will be challenges. There will be moments when it feels hard, when you'll want to quit. But that's where the magic happens. Growth isn't supposed to be easy. It's supposed to stretch you, to challenge you, to make you stronger. And here's a tip: don't wait for motivation. Motivation is fleeting. Commitment, that's where the power is. Decide right now that you're going to take the first step, not because you're ready, but because you're willing. And trust me, the readiness will come. Step three, action. This is where most dreams go to die, not because people don't want them, but because they don't take consistent action. And notice I said consistent, not perfect. You don't need to have it all figured out. You just need to start, even if it's messy, even if it's small, especially if it's small. Think of it like planting a seed. You don't see the tree the moment you put the seed in the ground, but you water it, you nurture it, you keep showing up, even when there's no visible sign of growth. And one day you see the sprout. That's how it works with your goals. Every small action is watering the seed. And let me tell you something else, the universe loves action. When you move, when you take even the tiniest step toward your goal, you send out a signal. a signal that says, I'm serious about this, and when you do that, opportunities start to show up. People, resources, ideas, they begin to align in ways you couldn't have planned. But it starts with you. Here's the big question I want you to sit with. What are you waiting for? There's never going to be a perfect moment. Never. The stars will never fully align. You're not supposed to wait until everything feels easy or certain. The magic happens when you step forward in spite of the uncertainty. When you trust that the path will reveal itself as you walk it. And remember this, the whispers don't go away. They might get quieter if you ignore them, but they'll never leave. They're part of you. They're calling you because there's something only you can do. Something only you can create. And the world needs it. The world needs you. So stop waiting, stop doubting, start listening, and then start moving right now. Because your goals, they're not just dreams. They're the map to your purpose. And it's time to follow it. If you want to achieve something extraordinary, begin by believing you already have it. Let that sink in for a moment. Imagine this, your mind is a magnet, constantly pulling in experiences, people, and circumstances that match your deepest beliefs. So I ask you, what are you believing right now? Because that belief is shaping your reality moment by moment. Think about it. Every great invention, every world-changing idea, every seemingly impossible feat started as a thought. A single thought held with conviction, acted on with faith. It's not just a nice idea, it's a law of the universe. You attract what you are, not what you want. That's the key. Wanting says, I don't have it. Believing says, it's already mine. And that shift, that's where the magic begins. Close your eyes for a second. Picture the thing you desire most. Maybe it's a career that lights you up, a relationship filled with love, or a life of adventure and freedom. See it clearly. Now, instead of thinking about how far away it is, imagine it's already here. Feel it. See yourself living it. Notice how your posture changes, how your energy shifts, that feeling. That's the power of belief. And the more you live in that feeling, the faster the world rearranges itself to match it. Here's the catch most of us struggle to believe because we're too busy looking at what's missing. I don't have the money, I don't have the time, I don't have the talent. But let me tell you something, it's not about what you don't have. It's about who you are. The moment you embody the person who already has what you want, the gap between you and your dream starts to close. You don't achieve by chasing, you achieve by becoming. And here's the truth, your mind doesn't know the difference between what's real and what's vividly imagined. Let me prove it to you. Picture a lemon. Bright yellow, fresh, with that sharp citrus smell. Now imagine slicing into it. Feel the juice running down the knife. Smell that tangy aroma filling the air. Now take that slice and imagine biting into it. Your mouth is watering, isn't it? That's the power of your imagination. If your mind can make you salivate over an imaginary lemon, imagine what it can do when you focus it on your goals. So how do you shift into this state of belief? How do you convince your mind that you already have the thing you desire? Start with gratitude. Gratitude is the bridge between what is and what can be. When you're grateful, you're telling the universe, I have enough, I am enough. And from that place of enoughness, more flows in. Here's a practice for you every morning. Before you even get out of bed, visualize your goals as already achieved. Feel the gratitude for them. Say, thank you for this life, for this success, for this abundance. Do it with so much emotion that it feels real, because to your subconscious mind, it is real. Now let me share something powerful. Belief isn't just a feeling, it's an action. It's how you show up, how you speak, how you carry yourself. If you believed you were successful, how would you walk into a room? If you believed you were worthy of love, how would you treat yourself? Start acting like the version of you who already has it. Not someday. Not when circumstances change, right now. And let's talk about doubt, because it's going to show up. It always does. That little voice saying, who do you think you are? This is too big for you. Let me tell you something about that voice. It's not yours. It's the voice of fear, of conditioning, of every limit you've ever been taught. But here's the good news, you don't have to believe it. You can thank it for trying to keep you safe, and then move forward anyway. Because courage isn't the absence of doubt. It's believing in something bigger than your fear. Here's a story for you. A man once stood at the base of a mountain dreaming of reaching the top. Everyone told him it was impossible. The climb was too steep, the path too treacherous. But he didn't focus on the obstacles. He didn't stand there waiting for the mountain to shrink. He simply started climbing, one step at a time. And with every step, his belief grew stronger. Until one day he looked back and realized he'd done it. The mountain hadn't changed, he had. That's the secret. You don't wait for your circumstances to align with your belief. You align your belief with where you're going, and then the circumstances follow. It's like tuning a radio. You don't hear the music until you adjust the dial to the right frequency. Your belief is the frequency. So ask yourself, what station are you tuned into? Doubt, fear, or possibility? And let me leave you with this thought. Everything extraordinary you want to achieve, every dream that lights a fire in your soul, is already yours in potential. The only question is, do you believe it enough to call it into reality? Because the journey to success, it doesn't start with your hands or your feet or your circumstances. It starts with your mind. And the moment you believe, truly believe, that it's already done, you'll start to see the evidence unfold around you. So what do you say? Are you ready to believe? A clear goal, it's not a place you arrive, it's a declaration. A bold, unshakable proclamation to yourself and to the universe of who you are becoming. Think about that. It's not about the car, the house, the title, or even the achievement itself. It's about the transformation, the shift, the expansion of your being. And here's the beauty of it: when you design a goal that aligns with the best version of you, everything else follows. The success, the joy, the abundance, they're not the destination, they're the side effects of living in alignment with your truest self. Let me ask you something: who do you want to be? Not what do you want to have, but who do you want to be when this life is said and done? That's the real question. That's the heartbeat of a clear soul-aligned goal. It's about choosing to step into the version of yourself that's waiting on the other side of the excuses, the fears, the doubts. And let me tell you a secret: that version of you, they're already there. They already exist. You're not creating them, you're remembering them. Here's where most people go wrong with goals. They make them small, manageable, achievable. But tell me, what's inspiring about achievable? What lights you up about realistic? Your soul doesn't whisper, play it safe. It whispers, grow, stretch, become. So if your goals don't scare you a little, if they don't make your heart race with both excitement and fear, they're not big enough. And here's the thing: a goal that doesn't challenge you can't change you. Pause for a moment. Think about a goal you've set in the past. Maybe it was to lose weight, to make more money, to get a promotion. Did you reach it? And if you did it feel as fulfilling as you thought it would? Now here's the deeper question: did it change who you are? Because if it didn't, then it wasn't about becoming, it was just about checking a box. And life isn't meant to be a checklist. It's meant to be a journey of evolution, of stepping into the highest, most radiant version of yourself. When you set a goal, you're setting a direction for your life. It's not just about the destination, it's about the path you're choosing to walk. It's about the habits, the mindset, the choices that will shape you along the way. And here's the incredible part: the moment you set a clear, aligned goal, you begin to shift. You begin to attract people, opportunities, and experiences that resonate with the energy of that goal. But it starts with clarity. So let's get clear right now. Take a deep breath and ask yourself, if I were living as the best version of me, what would that look like? Not the version of you that's been shaped by fear, by other people's opinions, by the limits you've placed on yourself. The real you, the limitless you. What would they dream of? What would they dare to do? What would they no longer tolerate? Picture it, feel it. And now ask yourself, what goal could I set that would pull me closer to that version of myself? Because the best goals aren't about chasing something outside of you, they're about drawing something out from within you. They're about becoming more of who you truly are. And here's a little exercise for you. Take a blank piece of paper and write at the top who I am becoming then. List the qualities, the traits, the energy of the person you want to be. Maybe it's courageous, disciplined, loving, generous, bold. Maybe it's calm, patient, resilient, joyful. Write it all down. Don't hold back. And then look at that list and ask yourself, what kind of goals would this person set? Now, this is where it gets exciting. Once you've identified the goal, you're not just working toward it, you're embodying it every single day. If your goal is to be healthy, ask yourself, what would the healthiest version of me do today? If your goal is to build a thriving business, ask yourself, how would the most successful visionary version of me show up right now? You're not waiting to become that person, you're choosing to be them moment by moment. And let's talk about alignment, because this is key. A clear goal that doesn't align with your values, your passions, your soul's purpose, it will drain you. You might achieve it, but it will feel hollow. So ask yourself, does this goal light me up? Does it excite me? Does it feel like it's coming from my truth, not my ego? Because when your goal is in alignment, the effort feels different. It's not about grinding or forcing, it's about flowing. It's about taking inspired action because you're deeply connected to why this matters. But here's the thing, alignment doesn't mean easy. There will be challenges, there will be moments when you want to give up. But those moments, they're part of the process. They're the fire that forges you into the person you're becoming. So when you hit a roadblock, instead of asking, why is this happening to me, ask, what is this teaching me? How is this helping me grow? And remember this, the journey matters more than the goal. Because even if you don't reach the exact outcome you envisioned, if you've grown, if you've stretched, if you've become more of who you're meant to be, then you've succeeded. The goal is just the catalyst. The real prize is the transformation. Let me leave you with this thought. A clear goal isn't just about achieving something, it's about declaring something. Declaring to yourself, to the world, to the infinite energy that surrounds us, this is who I am. This is who I'm choosing to become. And when you make that declaration with clarity, with commitment, with faith, watch what happens. The universe responds. Doors open, paths appear. Because when you align with your highest self, you step into a flow that is unstoppable. So what's your declaration? What's the goal that calls to the deepest part of you? Whatever it is, say yes to it. Say yes to becoming, because this is your moment, right here, right now. The best version of you is waiting. Are you ready to meet them? The perfect moment, it's a myth, an illusion we chase to avoid the truth staring us in the face. Right now, this moment, this is all you have. Think about that. There's no magical tomorrow where everything suddenly lines up, no golden sunrise when fear disappears, and every piece falls perfectly into place. That's a story we tell ourselves to delay, to hold back, to avoid stepping boldly into what we're capable of. But here's the truth you need to hear. You don't need the perfect moment, because the perfect moment is already here. Pause for a second and let that sink in. What if I told you that everything you need to start is already within you? Not tomorrow, not next week, not after you get that degree or lose those pounds or finally feel ready. Right now, in this messy, imperfect, beautiful moment, you are enough. But you've got to be willing to act, and not cautiously, not timidly, boldly, right here, right now. The problem is we've been conditioned to wait. Wait for permission, wait for confidence. Wait until we feel prepared, but waiting is a trap. It's the quicksand of dreams. The more you wait, the deeper you sink. And here's the kicker, the longer you wait, the more you convince yourself that you can't do it. It's a cycle, and it ends only when you decide to break it. Let me ask you something. How many times have you told yourself, I'll start when? Fill in the blank. When I have more time. When I feel more confident. When the kids are older, when I've saved enough money. But when is just a mirage. It keeps moving further away every time you think you're close. That's because perfection isn't real. It's just fear dressed up in a fancy disguise. And fear loves to keep you waiting. Now imagine this, you're standing at the edge of a pool. The water is cold, and you're scared to jump. You keep telling yourself, I'll go in when it feels warmer. But guess what? The water isn't going to warm up. The only way to adjust is to dive in. And once you do, you realize it's not as bad as you thought. That's how action works. The hardest part is taking the leap, but once you do, you'll wonder why you waited so long. Here's a little secret: the universe rewards action, not hesitation, not perfection action. Every time you take a step, no matter how small, you send out a signal. A signal that says, I'm ready, and the universe responds. Opportunities show up. Doors open. Resources you didn't even know existed suddenly appear. But none of that happens until you make the first move. Think about it like this: your life is a story, and every great story has a moment where the hero decides. It's not when they're fully prepared or when the odds are in their favor, it's when they choose to act in spite of the uncertainty. That's where the magic is. That's where transformation happens. Now, let's get real for a moment. Acting boldly doesn't mean you won't feel fear. Fear is normal, it's human, but fear doesn't have to stop you. In fact, fear is often a sign that you're on the right path. If it scares you, it means it matters. It means it's stretching you, pulling you toward growth. So instead of waiting for fear to go away, learn to dance with it. Take it by the hand and say, I see you, but you're not in charge. And let's talk about now, because this moment, this very second, is your greatest gift. Think about it now as all you've ever had. The past is gone, the future isn't here, but now is alive, it's breathing. It's bursting with possibility, but here's the catch: most of us are so busy living in the past or worrying about the future that we miss it. We miss the power of now. What if you stopped waiting for the stars to align and started aligning yourself with the stars? What if you decided right now to act as if this moment is enough? Because it is, and when you embrace it, when you choose to see now as your stepping stone, you unlock something extraordinary. You tap into your power, the power to create, the power to create, the power to transform, the power to begin. Let me give you an example. Imagine you're climbing a mountain. You're looking up at the peak and it feels so far away. You think, how am I ever going to get there? But here's the thing: the only way to reach the top is to take the next step. Not the perfect step, not the final step, just the next one. And then the one after that. Each step builds momentum. Each step brings you closer. And before you know it, you're higher than you ever thought possible. Now, let's bring this back to you. What's the mountain you've been staring at? What's the dream you've been putting off because it doesn't feel like the right time? Whatever it is, I want you to stop waiting. Stop overthinking. Stop doubting. Stop dang. Because every step you take, no matter how small, is a declaration. A declaration that you believe in yourself, that you believe in your dream, and belief that's where it all begins. And here's the beautiful irony: the act of starting creates the confidence you've been waiting for. Confidence doesn't come first, action does. Every time you take a step, you prove to yourself that you're capable. And that proof, it builds momentum, it builds belief, it builds a version of you that's unstoppable. So let me ask you, what's the step you can take right now? Not tomorrow, not next week, right now. Maybe it's making a phone call, maybe it's writing the first page, maybe it's simply saying out loud, I'm ready. Whatever it is, do it. Don't let this moment pass. Don't let now slip through your fingers. Because here's the truth: there's no perfect time, but there's always this time. And this time, this moment, it's enough. It's more than enough. The question is, are you willing to embrace it? Are you willing to act boldly and transform now into your stepping stone for greatness? The choice is yours. Always has been. Always will be. The gap between where you are right now and where you want to be, it's not time, it's not talent, luck, or even resources. The gap is clarity. Let that sink in for a moment. Clarity. Because without it, we stumble in the dark, taking steps that lead us in circles, wondering why the destination always feels just out of reach. But when you have clarity, everything changes. You move with intention, with focus, with a sense of certainty that pulls you forward. So here's the question: do you know where you're going? Not where you think you should go or where someone else says you ought to go, but where you truly want to be. Be honest with yourself. Too often we confuse activity with progress. We run, we hustle, we push, thinking that effort alone will bridge the gap. But if you're running in the wrong direction, all you're doing is moving further away. Clarity isn't just important, it's everything. Let's break this down. Imagine you're on a journey, standing at a crossroads with endless paths ahead. Some look inviting, some look uncertain, and others feel downright intimidating. Now, if you don't know where you're going, how do you choose? Do you follow the crowd, take the path of least resistance, or pick at random? That's what most of us do in life. And then we wonder why we feel lost, frustrated, or stuck. But what if you knew, without a shadow of a doubt, where you were headed? What if that destination was so vivid, so clear in your mind that you couldn't help but find the way? That's the power of clarity. It acts like a compass, guiding you through the fog, pointing you toward your true north. But let me tell you something surprising. Clarity isn't about having all the answers. It's not about seeing the entire path laid out before you. No, it's about knowing the next step, just the next step. Think of it like driving at night. Your headlights only illuminate a few feet ahead, but that's enough to get you to your destination. The same is true for your goals. You don't need to know every twist and turn, you just need to know where to point the wheel. Now here's the catch: clarity isn't something you wait for, it's something you create. Too many of us sit back, waiting for a lightning bolt of insight, for some magical moment when everything becomes clear. But clarity doesn't come from waiting, it comes from action, it comes from asking yourself the right questions and being willing to sit with the answers, even if they scare you. So let's start with the most important question. What do you really want? Not what you think you're supposed to want or what would impress others, but what truly lights you up. What's that thing that when you think about it makes your heart race a little faster? Maybe it's starting your own business, traveling the world, creating art, or making a difference in your community. Whatever it is, name it, write it down, make it real, because clarity begins with specificity. Vague goals create vague results. But when you get specific, that's when the magic starts to happen. Let me give you an example. Imagine someone says, I want to be successful. That's great, but what does that actually mean? Success looks different for everyone. Is it financial freedom? Is it living a peaceful, balanced life? Is it creating something that outlives you? Until you define it, you can't achieve it. So don't be afraid to get crystal clear. Paint a vivid picture in your mind of what success looks like for you. The more detailed, the better. Because the clearer the vision, the stronger the pull. And here's a little secret: clarity isn't just about knowing what you want, it's also about knowing why you want it. Your why is the fuel that keeps you going when things get tough. It's what gives your goals meaning and makes the journey worthwhile. So ask yourself, why does this matter to me? Dig deep, peel back the layers until you find the heart of it. Because when your why is strong enough, the how takes care of itself. Now, once you're clear on what you want and why you want it, the next step is to clear the path, and that starts with letting go of what no longer serves you. Think of it like this: if you're carrying a backpack full of rocks, how far can you really go? Those rocks might be limiting beliefs, old habits, or even relationships that hold you back. It's time to unpack the bag, to make room for the things that will help you move forward. One of the biggest obstacles to clarity is fear. Fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of judgment, fear of the unknown. But here's the thing: fear thrives in the absence of clarity. When you don't know what's ahead, fear fills the gap of worst-case scenarios. But when you have a clear vision, fear loses its power. Because now you're not focused on what might go wrong, you're focused on what could go right. And let me tell you something about fear. It's not your enemy. It's a sign that you're stepping out of your comfort zone, that you're growing, that you're reaching for something bigger. So don't run from it. Acknowledge it, but don't let it dictate your choices. Remember, courage isn't the absence of fear, it's moving forward in spite of it. Let's talk about another common obstacle: distractions. We live in a world that's constantly pulling us in a million directions. Social media, endless to-do lists, other people's expectations. It's easy to lose sight of what matters most. But clarity is like a lighthouse. It cuts through the noise, helping you focus on what truly deserves your time and energy. So here's a challenge for you: start saying no to the things that don't align with your vision. Protect your time, protect your focus, and watch how quickly you start to close the gap. Now let's get practical. If you're feeling stuck or unclear, try this exercise. Take out a piece of paper and draw 2 columns. In the first column, write down where you are right now in different areas of your life, your career, your relationships, your health, your personal growth. Be honest, no judgment, just awareness. In the second column, write down where you want to be in each area. Get as specific as possible. Then, look at the gap between the 2 columns. What's one small action you can take today to start closing that gap? Just one. Because clarity isn't about doing everything at once, it's about taking consistent, intentional steps in the right direction. And here's the most important thing to remember: clarity is a practice. It's not something you achieve once and then forget about. Life changes, goals evolve, and the path isn't always straight. But when you make clarity a priority, when you take the time to tune in, reflect, and adjust, you stay aligned with your purpose. You stay on course even when the road gets bumpy. So ask yourself right now, what's one thing I can do today to get clearer on my path? Maybe it's journaling. Maybe it's having an honest conversation with yourself. Maybe it's simply taking a moment to pause, breathe, and listen to that inner voice. Whatever it is, do it. Because the gap between where you are and where you want to be isn't time, it's clarity. And clarity is within your reach. All you have to do is choose it. Success isn't a straight line. Let that sink in for a moment. It's not a perfect trajectory where you leap from one achievement to the next, ticking boxes like it's some kind of checklist for a perfect life. No, success is a spiral, a dance of growth, reflection, and action. Picture it: each step forward isn't just a step, it's a loop, circling higher and higher, bringing you closer to your truest self. It's a process. And the process is the point. Now, here's the thing most people get wrong. They think setbacks mean they're failing. They believe if they stumble, they're somehow moving backward. But let me tell you something. Every spiral has its dips. Every great journey has its pauses. And those moments, they're not the end, they're the beginning of your next breakthrough. Think about it: what feels like falling isn't falling at all. It's the part of the spiral where you gather strength for the next rise. Take a moment to imagine the spiral. See it in your mind. It loops upward, expanding with each turn. And here's the beauty: every loop holds its own lesson. When you're in the dip, when things feel hard, that's where reflection happens. That's where you pause and ask, what is this teaching me? How am I being asked to grow? And when you rise again, and you will rise, you carry those lessons with you. You're not the same as before, you're stronger, wiser, more aligned with who you're meant to be. Here's where it gets interesting. The spiral doesn't just expand your achievements, it expands you. It's not just about what you do, it's about who you become. And isn't that the real goal? To become more of who you already are at your core. To shed the doubts, the fears, the limits, and to step into your infinite potential. Every loop of the spiral takes you closer to that version of yourself, the one who's been waiting for you all along. But let's get real for a second. How do you embrace the spiral? How do you keep going when the dips feel too steep, when the climb feels endless? It starts with shifting your perspective. You have to stop seeing setbacks as failures and start seeing them as teachers. Think about the last time you struggled. Really think about it. What did that moment teach you? Maybe it taught you resilience. Maybe it showed you what you truly value. Maybe it forced you to let go of something that wasn't serving you. Those aren't failures. Those are gifts. And when you see them that way, something incredible happens. You stop fearing the dips and you start welcoming them because you know they're part of the process. Here's a little secret: the spiral is always moving. Even when it feels like you're standing still, you're not. Growth is happening beneath the surface. Think of a tree in winter. It looks bare, lifeless, like nothing's happening. But under the soil, the roots are deepening, the tree is preparing for spring. That's you in the hard moments. You might not see the growth, but it's there. And when the season changes, and it will change, you'll be ready to bloom. Let's talk about action. Because reflection is only one part of the spiral. The other part, it's moving forward. And here's the catch: you don't have to wait for the perfect moment to act. In fact, there's no such thing as a perfect moment. The spiral isn't waiting for you to feel ready. It's inviting you to step in right now exactly as you are. Because every action, no matter how small, moves you forward. And forward is the only direction the spiral knows. Think about this, every great success story is a spiral. Every single one. Look at anyone you admire. Do you think their journey was a straight line? Of course not. They faced setbacks. They doubted themselves. They had moments when they wanted to give up, but they didn't. They embraced the spiral. They learned, they grew, they acted. And so can you. Now, here's the fun part. The spiral isn't just about the big moments, the promotions, the milestones, the applause. It's about the little moments too. The quiet victories, the times when you choose courage over fear. When you show up even when it's hard. Those moments, they're the ones that shape you. They're the ones that matter most. So let me ask you this, where are you in the spiral right now? Are you in a dip, gathering strength? Are you reflecting, learning the lessons you need for your next rise? Or are you climbing, taking action, moving closer to your dreams? Wherever you are, know this, it's exactly where you're meant to be. Trust the process, trust yourself, and keep moving. Because the spiral is always leading you higher, always. And one more thing, don't forget to celebrate the journey. Every loop of the spiral is a win. Every moment of growth is worth honoring. So take a moment right now to appreciate how far you've come. To acknowledge the strength it's taken to get here. You're on the spiral of success. And the best part, it's just beginning. Every goal you set, no matter how big or small, is an opportunity. Not just an opportunity to achieve something, but to show the world and yourself what's possible. Think about that for a moment. When you set a goal, you're not just aiming for a finish line, you're declaring to the universe, this is who I'm becoming, and that's powerful. That's life-changing. Now, here's a question for you. How often do you play small with your goals? How often do you shrink them down to what feels realistic or achievable? Let me tell you something. Goals aren't meant to keep you comfortable. They're meant to ignite your soul, to stretch you, to challenge you, to see just how far you can go. Every goal is a spark. And when you nurture that spark, it doesn't just light up your life, it becomes a beacon for others. It shows them what's possible when you dare to dream. But here's the catch, too many of us look at goals as a checklist, a series of tasks to cross off. And in doing that, we miss the magic. A goal isn't just about what you accomplish, it's about what it teaches you, how it transforms you, and the ripple effect it creates in the world. Think about the people you admire most, the ones who inspire you. Why do they stand out? It's not just because of what they've done, but because of who they've become in the process. And here's the truth, you have that same potential within you. Every single goal you set is an invitation to step into that potential, to uncover more of who you really are. So let's talk about creating goals that ignite your soul. Goals that excite you so much you can't wait to wake up in the morning and get to work on them. Goals that aren't just about you, but that leave a mark, a legacy. What does that look like? Let me take you on a journey. Imagine for a moment that you're standing at the edge of a vast open field. This field represents your life, your potential. You have a bag of seeds in your hand. Each seed is a goal, a possibility. But here's the thing, not every seed will grow into something extraordinary. Some will wither, some won't even sprout. But the ones you care for, the ones you plant with intention and nurture with love, those are the ones that will flourish. Your goals are those seeds. And the first step to creating goals that matter is to choose the right seeds, not the ones someone else told you to plant. Not the ones that seem safe, but the ones that truly resonate with you. The ones that make your heart race a little faster. The ones that scare you just enough to know they matter. Pause for a moment and ask yourself, what do I really want? Not what's practical, not what's expected, but what lights me up. That's the spark. That's the goal worth chasing. And here's something most people miss: a goal isn't just about the end result. It's about the process, the growth, the journey. Think of it like climbing a mountain. The summit is incredible, yes, but the real transformation happens in the climb. It's in the moments when your legs ache, your lungs burn, and you wonder if you can keep going, and then you do. That's where you discover your strength. That's where you find out who you really are. Let me share a little story with you. There was a man who dreamed of running a marathon. He wasn't a runner. In fact, he could barely jog a mile without feeling like his chest was going to explode. But he set the goal anyway. And every day he showed up. Some days were good, some days were awful, but he kept going. And on the day of the marathon, as he crossed the finish line, tears streaming down his face, he realized something. It wasn't about the medal around his neck. It was about who he had become, someone who didn't give up, even when it was hard. That's the power of a goal. It's not just what you achieve, it's who you become in the process. But let's get practical, because dreaming big is only the first step. To create goals that truly ignite your soul, you need a plan. And here's where the magic happens. Break it down. Big dreams can feel overwhelming, but when you turn them into small, manageable steps, they become possible. Think of it like building a house. You don't start with the roof, you start with the foundation, one brick at a time, and before you know it, you're standing in something extraordinary, something you created with your own hands. Your goals are the same. And here's a little secret: celebrate every step. Too often, we wait until we've achieved the big goal to feel proud, to celebrate. But every small victory matters. Every step forward is proof that you're moving closer to the life you're meant to live. Now let's talk about impact, because the most powerful goals aren't just about you. They're about the ripple effect they create. When you chase a goal that lights you up, you inspire others to do the same. You become living proof of what's possible. And that's how change happens, not by waiting for someone else to lead the way, but by becoming the example. So I want you to think about this. What's one goal you can set today that will not only change your life, but also make an impact on the world around you? Maybe it's starting a project that helps others. Maybe it's sharing your story in a way that inspires. Whatever it is, let it be something that matters not just to you, but to the world. Because here's the truth: every goal you set is a chance to show what's possible. To prove to yourself and to everyone watching that you're capable of so much more than you think. That the limits you see aren't real. They're just stories you've been told. And when you let go of those stories, when you dare to dream bigger, you don't just change your life, you change what's possible for everyone around you. So I ask you, what will you create? What story will you tell? What legacy will you leave? Because the world is waiting. It's waiting for you to plant those seeds, to nurture them, to grow something extraordinary. And when you do, you'll realize something amazing. The real magic of a goal isn't in achieving it. It's in the person you become along the way. And that's the greatest gift of all. Thanks for joining me today. If you found value in this discussion, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more motivational content. Share your thoughts in the comments below.